So what is the primary camera setting that we need to adjust in order to freeze fast-moving objects in photos such as this, or subjects in motion such as this and this? In this video, we'll dive into shutter speed, an important camera setting which plays a big part in not only setting the dynamics of the photo, but also the image exposure and setting the mood of the final image. Coming up next. Hey everyone, Maximilian here from MW Photography. In this channel, we will explore how photography works with tips and tricks along the way to help you in your photography journey. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now prepare your camera by your side for better reference during this video. Switch it on and change it to TV mode or shutter priority mode if you're using a Canon camera. With that said, let's dive right in. Shutter speed basically shows how long your camera sensor will be exposed to light, or how long your camera will take to take a photo. So in short, the shorter the length or faster the shutter speed, the faster your camera will take to take a photo. While the longer the length or slower the shutter speed, the longer it will take for your camera to capture the photo. Now, shutter speed is measured in a fraction of a second. Examples are such as 1/1000, 1/500, or 1/50. In this case, 1/1000 is 0.001 second, 1/500 is 0.002 seconds, and 1/50 is 0.02 seconds. Whereas if the shutter speed is above or equal to 1 second, it is measured as a second or in seconds. The shutter speed on your camera LED screen may appear as 1/1000 or 1/500, while if it's longer than a second, it may appear as 2, 4, which means 2 seconds, 4 seconds, and so on. Shutter speed can go as long as 30 seconds or 60 seconds in certain cameras, but you can use a longer shutter speed by using a remote trigger or dial into bulb mode on your camera. Since the shorter the length or faster the shutter speed, the faster your camera will take to capture a photo. Hence, a faster shutter speed is usually used to capture fast-moving objects or subjects. Examples of such usage are in sports, wildlife photography, or even water drop photography. Well, since the longer the length or slower the shutter speed, the longer it will take for your camera to take the photo. Hence, this slower shutter speed is used in situations where you wish to capture objects' dynamics or light trails at night, bringing more life to the image. Next up, shutter speed also controls the brightness of exposure in your image. The shorter the length or faster the shutter speed, the shorter the time exposure of your camera sensor to light, hence the more underexposed or darker your image will be. While the longer the length or slower the shutter speed, the longer the time exposure of your camera to light, hence the more overexposed or brighter your image will be, and this is what we call as long exposure photography. It must be noted, however, while shutter speed can affect the final exposure of the image, other camera settings such as aperture and ISO also play their roles in brightness of the image. More on ISO in my future video, where I'll put the links for camera aperture and even ISO in the near future in the description below. Now, shutter speed also has stops of light. So when we say increase a stop of light in terms of shutter speed, it means gaining the double the amount of exposure to light. Or when we say reduce the light by 1 stop, it means halving the time that the camera sensor is exposed to light. For example, your camera shutter speed is set to 1/500, so if we say increase by 1 stop, that means it will be 1/250. While when we say reduce by 1 stop, it means increasing your shutter speed to 1/1000. In very bright scenes, using a shorter or faster shutter speed will be ideal to prevent overexposed image, while in very dark scenes, a longer or slower shutter speed is better to increase that light exposure in your final image. Bear in mind, however, that while longer or slower shutter speed is best during darker scenes, your image is prone to get blurry since you're opening up that camera sensor for a longer period of time to absorb all that light. Hence, if you were to just move a little bit, your camera sensor will register the movement and will start to get blurry, otherwise known as camera blur. To solve this, you can easily put your camera body on a sturdy surface be it on a table or on the floor, or best to place it on a nice sturdy tripod to properly taking and stabilizing your photo. Depending on your desired photo style, a longer shutter speed can produce what's known as motion blur, where subjects in your image appears to be in motion or moving while other subjects remain in focus and in freeze motion, adding to that realism in your image. Now, some camera bodies and lenses also come with inbuilt stabilizations or vibration reduction, which can compensate for those slow shutter speeds and camera blur or shakes. There are in fact more to shutter speed, such as electronic and mechanical shutter, but I would suggest to repeat watching this video to understanding the basics of shutter speed before we dive even deeper. As mentioned earlier, you would also need to consider other camera settings such as aperture and ISO. When all these three elements combine, they form the exposure triangle. Links for the respective element of the exposure triangle will be in the description below, so stay tuned. If you find this video helpful, be sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button for more future content such as this. Also, watch my other videos in this channel for a better understanding on photography. Till then, take care and stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.